Hello and welcome. Today, we are diving into one of the most fascinating journeys in the entire universe, the journey of how a child's mind develops. It's a process that's just full of mystery, amazing milestones, and honestly, what feels like pure magic. So let's get started. I mean, really think about that for a second. You have this tiny little person who can't even hold up their own head, and somehow, one day, they're going to be solving problems, telling jokes, and dreaming about what they want to be when they grow up. How in the world does that happen? Well, that is the exact question we're going to unpack today. Okay, so first things first, we've got to clear something up. We tend to use the words growth and development pretty interchangeably, right? But in the world of psychology, they are worlds apart. It's not just about getting bigger, it's about becoming, well, more. So growth, that's the stuff you can actually see and measure, with a tape measure or a scale. It's the inches they get taller, the pounds they gain. It's all quantitative. It's about the numbers. But here's the key. This process is external, and eventually, it stops once we hit maturity. Development, on the other hand, is the qualitative change. It's the internal magic. It's about how we get more complex, more skilled, more organized in the way we think and act. And here's the really mind-blowing part. This never stops. It's a journey that lasts our entire lives, literally from the womb to the tomb. And this little chart here just lays it all out perfectly. You see it right there. Growth is external, it's measurable, and it has an endpoint. Development is internal. It's holistic, meaning it affects everything. And it goes on forever. Basically, growth is just one small chapter in the much, much bigger book of development. Now, you might be thinking that this whole lifelong development thing sounds a bit messy, maybe even random, but it's not at all. It actually follows some really clear, predictable patterns. There are rules to this game. So check this out. This image shows us two of the fundamental rules of physical development. The first one is a mouthful, cephalocaudal. It just means head to toe. A baby learns to control their head and neck first, then their arms, and then their legs. The second rule is proximodistal, which means development moves from the center out. So they get control of their torso long before they can master those tiny little fingers. It's like a built-in blueprint for assembly. So just like our bodies follow a blueprint, our minds do too. And if you want a map of that incredible inner world, there is no better guide than the legendary Swiss psychologist Jean Piaget. He basically gave us the first real roadmap for how our thinking, our cognition, is built from the ground up. And Piaget's whole idea was honestly revolutionary. He argued that kids aren't just these empty buckets that we adults pour facts into. No way. He saw them as little scientists. They are constantly out there exploring, testing things, and building their own understanding of how the world works, brick by brick. So how exactly do these little scientists build all this knowledge? Well, Piaget said it's all about adaptation. And you can think of it like a mental filing cabinet. The folders you already have, those are your schemas. They're how you organize what you know. Now, when you see something new, you first try to stuff it into a folder you already have. That's assimilation. But what if it just doesn't fit? Well, you have to change a folder or make a brand new one, and that is accommodation. And that, my friends, is learning in a nutshell. And this whole process of adapting our mental filing cabinet, it doesn't just happen randomly. Piaget believed we all go through 4 distinct universal stages, and each stage is like unlocking a completely new way of thinking about the world. So let's take a walk through them. Our journey kicks off right at birth, in what Piaget called the sensory motor stage. This lasts until about age 2, and the name really says it all. At this point, infants are learning about reality entirely through their senses, touching, tasting, seeing, and their motor actions, grabbing, kicking, you name it. Now, during this stage, babies move from just pure reflex to actually having goals. But the absolute biggest deal, the true game changer, is developing object permanence. This is the amazing realization that just because you can't see something doesn't mean it's gone. This is the entire reason that a simple game of peekaboo is the most hilarious and mind-blowing thing in the world to a baby. All right, next up, from about 2 to 7 years old, we enter the pre-operational stage. And this is a time of pure magic and imagination. Language just explodes, and kids start using symbols, like words and drawings, to represent their world in a totally new way.
This stage has some really fascinating quirks. You've got egocentrism, the classic, if I cover my eyes, you can't see me logic. Then there's animism, that adorable belief that their favorite stuffed animal has feelings and gets sad. And you have irreversibility. They just can't mentally rewind a sequence of events. It's a world run by perception, not logic. Not yet, anyway.
Then, somewhere around age 7, you can almost hear the gears of logic starting to click into place. Welcome to the concrete operational stage. Now, child's thinking gets way more organized and rational, but, and this is important, it's still tied to concrete, physical stuff they can actually see and touch. The massive leap forward here is mastering conservation. You've seen the experiment. You pour the exact same amount of juice from a short, fat glass into a tall, skinny one. A younger kid will swear the tall glass has more. But a concrete operational kid, they know it's the same. They can mentally reverse the action and see past appearances. And that old egocentrism, it starts to fade away. And finally, as kids hit adolescence around age 12, they reach Piaget's final stage, the formal operational stage. This is where their thinking truly takes off, leaving the world of the concrete behind and soaring into the realm of the abstract and the possible. This is the stage of what if. They can now think about huge abstract concepts like justice, freedom, and love. They can use deductive reasoning, forming a hypothesis and testing it out systematically. Their thinking finally becomes as powerful and as flexible as an adult's. So, Piaget gave us this absolutely incredible map of how a mind is built. It shows us the terrain, the milestones, the whole landscape a child has to cross. But, knowing the map is one thing. What does it actually mean for us? And here it is, the whole journey in one spot. Think of this as your ultimate cheat sheet to Piaget stages. You can see the whole progression in one glance. From figuring out object permanence as a baby, moving past the egocentrism of a toddler, mastering conservation as a kid, and finally achieving abstract thought as a teen. It's such a clear, powerful path. And that really brings us to the most important question. This map, it doesn't just describe a journey. It gives us the tools to actually support it. When we know what a child is capable of thinking about at each stage, we can be better parents, better teachers, better mentors. We can have more patience, we can create better ways for them to learn, and we can truly appreciate the wonder of what's happening. So the real question isn't just about understanding the map, it's about how we can use it to become better guides for all the little scientists in our lives.